Our episode commences with Noel contemplating what to do with the diminutive Miguel. The powerful Noel ponders, "What course of action can I take? He's embroiled with the Dallenberg clan, yet he's a fugitive from them. I won't provoke their wrath, even if I eliminate him. Therefore, once that fellow is removed from the equation, this captive will be my possession, Noel." Subsequently, he intimidates Miguel by discharging a bullet over his head and declares, "You possess 10 seconds to vanish from this location." Indeed, the dwarf promptly absconds, then rouses his slave, Koga, and they both make their getaway together. The setting then transitions to Noel returning to Alma, where he discovers Ligia dining with her. She inquires if he located any new prospects, appending, "It occupied you for quite some time. We presumed you were searching for fresh recruits." He hesitates briefly and then informs them, "I cannot locate anyone suitable for our group. Furthermore, I was absent for an alternate purpose." Then he questions them, "Are you aware of anything regarding the perilous narcotic that has been circulating recently?" They convey that they have heard whispers, but don't completely comprehend. He clarifies, "It appears to induce a potent euphoria, but it also renders one restless. The individuals peddling it are not under surveillance, so you should exercise caution and advise Wolf to be vigilant as well." Ligia expresses gratitude and departs immediately. The scene reverts to the dwarf, Miguel, who is now conversing with Albert, a racketeer. Albert states, "Did you genuinely believe you could abscond with the family's finances? You should have recognized this scheme would never succeed." He then appraises Miguel that the Dallenberg family has issued a notice and requested Don Luciano to surrender him the instant he's located. "And now we have apprehended you successfully, you insignificant betrayer, but frankly, I derived no amusement from relinquishing you in this manner." Miguel is astonished and inquires, "What is the implication of that statement?" He suspects Albert intends to terminate him, like those craniums scattered about. They dispute back and forth, but ultimately, the mobster proclaims, "We shall dispatch you and your enslaved companion as preserved hides. We will flay you alive, transform your innards into sausage filling, and transmit it all to the Dallenberg. They will be in for a genuine surprise. What authentic entertainment!" The dwarf is aghast and exclaims, hold on, what are you implying? This is a cruel jest." But Albert assures him, "I am not jesting, I am utterly earnest," and directs his associate named Law to commence preparation. In that instant, Koga muses to himself, thinking, "I have journeyed this far from my homeland, enduring self-inflicted harm for engaging in combat, and now I shall perish in this fashion." Then, a rapping resounds at the entrance, and they proclaim that the individual present is the mayor of Minsk. The gangster asserts, "Well, if you possess the funds prepared, then very well." But the man retorts that an adventurer named Noel seized all he had. "I opposed him with all my might, but he seized my spouse and offspring as captives, then extracted my eye, and extracted my right eye. I had no alternative but to surrender the money, but that is not the entirety. He also declared you would be better served discarding these funds than bestowing them upon the feeble Gambino family. Then he confiscated it from me, boss." He ridiculed the esteemed Gambino family, disparaged it, and minimized its standing. "You must deliver justice to that dishonest adventurer and uphold your family's integrity." Albert responded, very well. I shall attend to that, but presently it is time to reconcile accounts. Irrespective of your justification, you violated your pledge to us," he proceeded. "Regardless of your rationalization, you reneged on your commitment, and now you must rectify it. Since you are devoid of funds, I shall sever your right hand. That explorer seized your right eye, so I shall seize your right arm." He then gazed at Koga, observing the elongated blade he wielded, a weapon of an uncommon combat style, with cutting accuracy surpassing that of a typical swordsman. Albert commanded Koga to sever Miguel's right arm with the instrument he was gripping. Koga remained silent, so Miguel commenced yelling at him to comply with Albert's directive. Koga retrieved one of the stones lying nearby, poised himself, and Albert mocked him, believing he couldn't accomplish it with such a tool. But, in the blink of an eye, Koga severed Miguel's arm, and Albert shrieked in exhilaration. Miguel informed Albert, "This is my pupil from the remote island of Eastern Majara, a combatant I have instructed with all my expertise and affection." Following this tribulation, Koga retreated to his quarters, absorbed in contemplation. From the moment of his birth, he had been unwanted. His father was a prosperous tradesman, and his mother, a stunning woman. Together, they led an opulent existence, yearning for only one thing, a robust offspring. But one day, Koga's mother was abducted and subsequently returned after being violated. Her psychological condition deteriorated, and soon thereafter, Koga was born. His father, however, never accepted him, suspecting he wasn't his legitimate son. One day, while his mother was playing with him, her spouse arrived home, and she requested him to devote some time to their son. The father scoffed at her, declining to recognize Koga as his offspring. Devastated by his pronouncements, she ended her life that very evening. From that juncture onward, Koga's father loathed him, never addressed him, and perpetually shouted at him to deter him from addressing him as father. One day, Koga awoke to discover himself aboard a vessel. It didn't require much time for him to grasp he had been bartered as a slave. At that moment, Miguel approached, proclaiming that from that day forward, he would be his overseer. Miguel instructed him relentlessly in combat, compelling him to become an assassin. Koga prevailed, and Miguel commended him, something Koga had never experienced in his life. From that point on, Koga understood that his sole purpose was to kill and emerge triumphant. "My only obligation is to achieve a succession of triumphs and acknowledge that a slave can be nothing beyond that." The scene then transfers to a cavern, where Noel inquires of Loki. "For what reason did you beckon me here?" Loki responds, "You invariably compensate generously, so I wish to extend you a courtesy. The Gambino family desires your demise." Noel, startled, remarks, "They place credence in the mayor of Minsk and are now pursuing me. Initially, it was the narcotics, and now this. They must be demented." Loki replies, "Their chieftain, Albert, is a genuine lunatic. Do not attempt to decipher him." Noel responds, "I heard the preceding leader was a respectable individual. Why did they select this fellow as his heir?" Loki replies, "Perhaps he lacked alternatives. Albert is an illegitimate offspring who matured with no other competitor." Abruptly, Noel detects someone in the vicinity and swiftly discerns that an armed individual is drawing near. He exclaims, "It's unethical for an intermediary to ensnare his own patron." Loki expresses remorse, explaining that he received a lucrative proposition and intends to utilize the funds to embark anew in another nation. Noel countered, "But your scheme neglects one crucial detail. There's no justification for me to refrain from eliminating you, but rest assured, I harbor no animosity toward you." Loki replies, "The sentiment is reciprocal. I bartered my self-respect as an information merchant." Noel resolves to liberate him, declaring, "I shall disregard the events that transpired here, and I am not obligated to depart the capital. I shall dismantle the Gambino family, and you can reclaim your dignity wherever you consider home." Loki departs swiftly, and Noel consumes a combat enhancer, which will persist for 10 minutes. The adverse reactions are severe, he contemplates, but it amplifies my prowess immense. Koga arrives and is stunned to perceive Noel. Noel states, "I am the explorer you have been seeking. I did not anticipate you to be the family's hitman. It appears you have ascended in status, exchanging one master for another." Koga retorts, "That is none of your concern." Noel shrugs, "You are correct. Let us resume where we ceased, without any interruption." This time, he brandishes his weapon before Koga, surprised when Koga doesn't unsheath his blade. Koga states, "I have no desire to engage in combat with you. I am indebted to you for that silver coin." Noel laughs, "Releasing me? That is audacious discourse from a mafia operative." Koga replies, "I cannot disobey Dawn's instruction, but I still retain my self-respect and integrity. My designation is Koga, a longsword combatant of rank G, proficient in slashing assaults." Noel thinks to himself, did he just disclose his strengths to ensure this duel is equitable? Is this individual a fool out of politeness? Noel responds, I can employ abilities without depleting my mana reserves, and I have inherited the resolve and methodologies of the Great Over. Now we commence. Noel charges at Koga, and Koga is astounded by his enhanced velocity and aptitude. Noel's power unleashed at maximum capacity is apparent. He strikes Koga with his pistol, fully exploiting the combat stimulant. Noel remarks, I am unaware of the capabilities of this long sword warrior, but any armed combatant on the front lines should be subjected to fire. It may not terminate him, but it will significantly injure him, and triumph will be mine. Then, Koga materializes from the inferno, and Noel is astonished, exclaiming, It's inconceivable. How can he emerge from the blaze? Did he cleave through the air itself to generate a vacuum? They assail each other, delivering numerous blows, but each one parries and avoids the other's strikes. Koga requests Noel to cease attacking, to which Noel replies, We are contending for our survival. As they exchange blows, Noel lands eye scratches and low blows, while Koga skillfully evades Noel's mystical attacks. Noel is shocked to realize that Koga can also manipulate slicing strikes in the air and unleash them at will. Is this what he implied by specializing in slicing assaults? We observe Koga approach Noel from the rear, but Noel intercepts the strike with his sword, shattering the stone on which Koga was positioned. Noel tumbles, and then he utters. The resounding shockwave has no impact on him.